Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Storyteller's Corner. I'm your host, Joshua T. Calkins Truergy, also known as Barnum Sidious. And this is another Storyteller's Perspective. And the title of this brief piece is Show Your Work. This is a phrase that is common parlance for pretty much anybody who has received mathematical instruction, at least in the West, for quite some time. The phrase, show your work. In other words, please demonstrate on paper for your instructor evidence that you are going through the process of taking the numbers or variables of an equation and working them through the process of which whatever calculation, whatever mechanics of a mathematical equation you are attempting to solve for. This applies in areas outside of mathematics beautifully, however. Show your work. In the artistic realm, in terms of whether it be visual artistry, musical artistry, or the written word, you'll find this takes the form of practice sessions for music, sketch work in either a portfolio sketchbook or just multiple sheets of doodles. It's the artist in question demonstrating that they have been putting in effort to build up to eventually their presentation. In the written word, this takes the form of outlines, notations, rough drafts, second drafts, edit notes, with red ink or what have you. It is the demonstration that you have been putting in the effort required to fine-tune your final product. The purpose, largely, is to allow others to see your process and to try and make sense of how you arrived at your final result. In mathematics, that's exactly what it is. It's showing the step-by-step process of how you took the numbers of an equation and landed on your final result. This is helpful in trying to demonstrate, if you get the question result incorrect, where in the process you may have gone awry. If part of a multi-step sequence is improperly calculated, an instructor or second set of eyeballs can say, wait, look at right here. Here's where the calculation fell apart because of this one error that then led to further errors down the line. For multi-step sequences in mathematics and calculation, that's exactly what you end up doing. For something like musical pieces and musical practice, if someone is practicing and they keep hitting an incorrect note, they can reference back for what the note is supposed to be, and either their fingering, if it's a woodwind, or even if it's a string instrument, they can try to single out the one point or area where the error is being committed. It's showing your work. This is why there's practice. This is why there's dress rehearsals, things of that nature. For visual artistry, this is where you would look back through prior sketches or prior versions, even digitally, because there are saved versions, multiple versions of the same finished product that you can look back at and reference and say, here's where I may have gone wrong. In terms of argumentation or debate, regardless of the subject matter, if someone can step by step walk you through the process of how they arrived at their final conclusion or opinion perspective, the point of contention can be arrived at or argued out if you ask the other person, can you walk me through your process of how you arrived at that conclusion? In the realm of art, a lot of heavily pro-AI people have taken a tack of browbeating artists with the sentiment of, effectively, and I am paraphrasing someone who is very pro-AI, she knows who she is, by stating, and I'm going to quote her loosely. This is more of a paraphrase. Nobody cares about your process, buddy. The only thing that matters to people is results. That may be true in the realm of athletic competition, where the scoreboard determines exactly who wins and who loses. But in terms of the realm of artistry, where subjectivity plays a heavy factor, that's not necessarily so. We could benefit from people explaining their process, showing us how they arrived at their final result. Not only is this damned insulting, this idea of nobody cares what your process is, it's also easily proven to be counterproductive. It's insulting and dismissing. Ask many of these same people from that heavily pro-AI crowd if they feel the same way about how their food is prepared, or how election outcomes are reached, or where their coffee comes from, or how their phones were made. Suddenly, the process matters rather a great deal to them. When we have things like Medicaid, Medicare fraud, when we have suspicious election results, these same people will gladly bitch, moan, and howl to the heavens above, and rightly so, I might add. How did we get here? Was there some tomfoolery, skullduggery? Was there some fuckery going on that tilted the results or the outcome? Let's examine the process. Well, suddenly then it becomes very important what the process was. If someone is trying to tell you what their process is artistically, they're not just doing it always to justify the existence of a job role, though that frequently does happen, especially in the video games arena. But they're also trying to say, hey, if you have a problem with the end result of my work, here's how I got to that process and result. If there's an issue, perhaps the issue came in somewhere along the way, en route through the process to the result. Don't just dismiss people. I am recommending, don't just dismiss artistry's process just because you want a quick and ready to go result. If you continue to do that, no one's going to be interested in telling you the process. Not even when you really need to know what went into it. Cheers.